Hey, good morning. Well, I just made a video for some people that were wondering, like, Russ, what do you do all day? And the truth is, I'm sitting at my desk right now, well, my makeshift desk. My office is no more. It's been packed up and been ready to sell. And so, what do you mean by sell? Well, I'm selling my desk and my desk chairs and all that stuff because I don't need them. And our living room or dining room table is the best spot for the office right now. It's got my printer. Actually, here, hold on a second. I'll see if I can turn this thing a little bit. Coming down and turn, other way, turn. So there's a printer, got my computer going, and then obviously I had this big old giant monitor right here. And in the mornings, like I talk about, like I just said to somebody else on another post I'm making or another video, is one of the first things I do in the morning is I go through and check all of our emails, check all of our social media posts, because we get a lot of people from all over that contact us, mostly from the UK, and mostly not good stuff. There are people that don't want us there. There are people that are not very welcoming to the ministry and that are like, it's good to see. In fact, that was a post that was on Facebook the other day, and it said, it's good to see Scotland taking the initiative and being the most secular country in the world or whatever. It was like, are you kidding me right now? But it is what it is. But I have some exciting news for you I want to share. And that is, so we developed in March, I think it was, or February, one of the two. I have to go back and look at my notes. But we came up with God's Not Dead Ministries. I think it was in February, and in March we launched it. And we kind of revamped it again in March because we found a different logo and realized, like anything we do, we need to honor God. And that became more relevant when we went to, we didn't do the new logo until we got back. That's right. But we went to ARC launch in Birmingham, Alabama, which changed a lot of things for us at that point. But we started a ministry called God's Not Dead. And the whole purpose of that was to be a catalyst to help propel us to Scotland, and also to help equip and train and support missionaries to the UK. And that's the long-term vision for it. The short-term vision is that we needed a catalyst that people could donate money to help support what we're doing in Scotland. And now, kind of all over the world. That's a whole other story and a video in itself. But ultimately what's happening is God is showing up in a multitude of ways. And we were able to file our paperwork with the state of Florida and got it approved within like 8 days, which is almost unheard of. And then we filed our paperwork with the federal government. And like the federal government, we're waiting and waiting and waiting. But we don't know why it would be objected. The state of Florida already approved it. We had somebody help us file the documentation for God's Not Dead Ministries for the federal government as a nonprofit organization. And we're 100% confident it'll come back and be okay. However, that limited us as to what we could do in the UK. In the UK, we couldn't collect money. We didn't have any rights or responsibilities. And we also couldn't find a way to get a sponsor. Now, there are a couple ways to get a sponsor. The most obvious way, which I thought would just be the normal thing, hey, call a friend that may know a friend and have them sponsor me because I'm Russ and people know me and most people like me. And it doesn't happen that way. It's actually there's some etiquette to asking for a sponsorship. It's almost like asking me to use your credit card in some ways. And I didn't know that. I may have heard of friendship actually because of a request that I put out and I haven't heard back from that person, which I'm glad I said that because I need to call them today. But I'm looking for my phone. It's right there. But sponsorship is actually very personal. And then you can also get a job. And the job, if you're a skilled worker or have a certain niche that they need in the UK or that you can only fulfill, then you can get a sponsor that way to sponsor you over there and get your visa and all that good stuff. The other way is, which I don't like and it's shady, is they have a list. There's actually like 6,000 names. This is just a list of the sponsors for Scotland specific Most are in Edinburgh and Glasgow. In fact, I would say, actually, they're all in Edinburgh and Glasgow. No, there's one or two that aren't. But for the most part, Edinburgh and Glasgow are the only two cities that have sponsors with a T2 ministerial visa. Now, some of those organizations exist with the sole purpose of, you pay me £1,000 and I'll give you a sponsorship for a year. And you're subject to that. And what we've heard is, and what I've read is, you got to be careful with that. Number one, that's technically illegal, technically. And if that place gets shut down and they lose their sponsorship, you lose your visa. It's a domino effect. So let's say if ABC Ministries sponsors us and they get caught and we paid them £1,000 or whatever the fee might be, and they lose their sponsorship license, we lose our visa and we're kicked out of the country that fast. It could be really, really, really bad. And so in praying about it, we're like, we got to find a way to get a visa and so we can make this work. And then another highlight was, if you get a visa for 3 years, you have to pay the medical surcharge up front, all up front. And for Lisa and I both, it's like $8,000 American. And so when you add that amount into the moving costs, our cost to move over there was like $6,000 to $8,000. And now it's almost $20,000, like $16,000 to $17,000, because you have to pay all the surcharge. So I've been praying about it, doing a ton of research the last few days, and I ran across something on sponsorship, self-sponsorship. And I want to be really clear. We had planned all along to open a nonprofit, or what they call a charity, in the UK to help support our efforts in the UK and for church planting in the UK. The US was so that we could recruit and build and gain support. And then the UK one was going to be the distribution and local support for what we're doing in Europe, really. Okay, so they're going to work hand in hand or under one umbrella, but they got to be different entities because of governmental practices. And so yesterday, I'm excited to tell you that we started God's Not Dead Ministries UK. So now we have two entities, which, just so you know, I'll be resigning my position as executive servant for God's Not Dead US and be taking over God's Not Dead UK as the executive servant or executive director. And Lisa's going to hold a position in both. It's written that way in our bylaws, and we can do that. However, hers will be placed on basically a sabbatical. It's kind of like having a business owner that's a silent business owner. That way, nothing ever gets out of hand, and Lisa still has authority, and if you will, over God's Not Dead US, and I'll be over part of God's UK. Now, after talking to Lisa, that might be swapping. I might stay in the US as far as leadership and title, and she might be going to the UK just because of some fine intricacies to their documentation. And frankly, Lisa's role in this whole ministry thing, her strength is administrative and teaching. My strength is evangelism and teaching. And so we agreed early on that I would be in the field, knocking on doors and meeting with people. And Lisa, her job would be taking care of the administrative, the support, raising, documentation, and now the visas and things like that. So we started God's Not Dead UK. Are you ready for this? So that we can become a sponsor. And as a sponsor, we can actually sponsor ourselves to the UK. Now, you might be thinking that's a really big loophole, Russ, and does that work? And yes, it does. The other question you could ask, is it ethical or moral? Yes, it is. Because the way the law is written in the UK is, if you start a business or a charity or something like that, then you can do a self-sponsorship. And you don't have to have like $5 million in the bank. I'm being facetious. If you were to start a business over there, and let's say we start ABC Inc., you can go over what's called an innovator visa, and they can hand those out like candy because you're bringing jobs to the UK. And so the difference is you have to have £50,000 in the bank when you come into the UK, and it has to be dedicated for business purposes. And then on top of that, I think the prerequisite is you have to have $5,000 for personal use. So essentially you have to have 55,000 pounds, which is equal to almost $100,000 to get into the UK as on an innovative thing. So we would be asking you to be praying. Be praying that our documentation gets approved. I got a message last night saying the documentation has been filled out. He's going to forward it to me this morning for review and signature, and then he will be filing it with the government in the UK. We should know in about 2 weeks. It says it could take up to 8 weeks, but everything I've read, because it is where it's at, the Home Office in Scotland, they don't do a lot of openings for nonprofits and charities there, believe it or not. And so it doesn't take as long to get turned around. It takes about 2 weeks, maybe 3 at the most. We're hoping that we see a turnaround while we're in the UK in July or sooner, because if we're there, we can open up a bank account, which is the next step for the sponsorship. We have to have a checking account for the sponsorship. And once that happens, then we're off and running. However, the sponsorship application is highly complex, and rightfully so, right? They are giving people the green light to write tickets or write visas for people coming to the country. And want people to be very careful with that as well. With that being said, we're excited about this news. It's the UK, the God's Not Dead UK has always been in the plans. We thought it'd be after the turn of the year, but now it's been moved up. And again, this comes back to one of those things, right? It's all in God's timing. And speaking of God's timing, we had somebody that was a very generous donor that basically covered the cost of this. And so, we're going to see what happens, man. And I think this is just God's way of saying, like, if you're going to do it and you're going to go and be ambassadors, do it right from the start. And this is the right way to do it from the start. The way we were going to go wouldn't have been wrong. It just wouldn't have been 100%. It would have been like in pending status. And we want to be above reproach on everything. I just think this is God stepping in and going, like, if you're going to be an ambassador for me, then this is what we're doing. And we're okay with that. We're his subjects, and we're slaves to him, and that's how we want to live our life. But yeah, we're excited about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you didn't get that, just a really quick summary. God's Not Dead US is underway. God's Not Dead UK should be ready to launch here in the next couple of weeks. And then we'll be able to sponsor ourselves on our visas. Oh, and by the way, the $8,000 question in the room is, do you guys have to pay the $8,000 surcharge? No. We only had to pay for 1 year because we can actually renew our visa every year. And that's what they want. They get they're going to get the money in the long run, but because we don't have $8,000 sitting in the bank, we can renew our visas or start our visas. It's $579 or $754, something like that, pounds for me. For Lisa, it's like 300 and something pounds. So let's say 1,000. I think it's like $1,500 for the both of us. And it'll be that pretty much every year moving forward. But it'll save us about $5,000 on the front side at the minimum. And so we're kind of financing it. If we choose, the nice thing is the T2 ministerial license that we're going over on is good for up to 6 years. So at year 5, when your visa would normally be up, you can extend it that year. And if you can prove that you are being effective in the community and you're doing a work there, you can actually apply for what they call settlement. And when you do a settlement, you essentially become a citizen to the crown, and we can be there indefinitely. We have dual citizenships. So the $8 million question, 8 million, not 8,000, is will we give up our citizenship in the US? The answer is no. We would absolutely seize unless the IRS changes things, we would just utilize the laws to the best of our effect. The truth is, we're not going to be making much money, so they're not going to get much money from us anyway. Bottom line. Life of a missionary. Woohoo! There you go. I'm out. I've taken enough of your time for the day. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and hope you have a great day. Bye.